Hey everybody. I'm working from my Mac today, so it may look a little bit different on my screen, but this first instructional video is going to show you, by using the directions on my website, how to make the Minion Body. So if we scroll down, you see that there is an image here of the body, which you can use this as a template. I'll show you how to do that, or you can draw it in two different ways. So let's get started. So here's Illustrator. You're going to go to File and New. I suggest to name your file now. Name it Minion, and click OK, and you should get a canvas up on your screen. So if you're pretty good at drawing by hand, you can use the pen tool, or probably a little bit easier for freehand if you use the paintbrush. So I'm going to select the paintbrush tool over here. Now remember, mine may look a little different than yours, but the same tools have the same icon. So I would choose a stroke color of black. So that's stroke color up here. Here's the size of your line. 1 point is fine for now. And you do not need a fill color. So I'm going to switch this so it's actually white. It may look like it's empty, but it is selected on white. And we're going to choose this box here that's marked none. It's white with a red dash through it, which means it's transparent and nothing will show up. We just want a line color. Black is fine. It's going to be easier to see it that way. Now what you can do is look at these side by side, so you can look at my screen at the same time as painting on yours. To do that on your PC, you're going to hit the Windows button and the left arrow or right arrow to shift your first application to the left or right. Then go to my website, hold down the Windows button, and hit the opposite arrow to shift the other one on the other side. So you can look at it side by side if that helps. Probably the easiest way to get started is really just think about it as though it's like a kidney bean shape. So you kind of want a round head, because they all have a very round head. They come in a little at the middle, and then they have a more square round shape at the bottom. All of our minions can look different, so it is perfectly okay if yours does not look exactly like this. Now you'll notice I have a little spot here, and I can clean that up. For you, it would be Control+ to zoom in, just like in Photoshop. Holding your space bar down again gives you the hand so that you can move a little more easily. Now the big difference in here, as you may remember from the brief introduction, is that we are not using filled in squares within a grid. Instead, we're making plots and we're connecting the dots. So if I go to my selection tool, which is the black arrow, click on the line, I can see these plots. So I can zoom in so you can see them a little better. That's these little blue dots here. These two don't line up, and that's actually something important to pay attention to. So I'm going to go to what's called the direct selection tool, which is the white arrow. I'm going to choose one of these plots by clicking it once. Then I click and drag until it lines up here. You can see it kind of messed up my line, so I'm going to select this point and move it as well. So if we don't make perfect lines at first, the good news is it's pretty easy to connect them together. Now to join these two, because it may look like this is one solid line, but it's not, we're going to draw a little box so that it selects both of these points. And you can go into Object and Group. Or for you guys, you can hold Control and type the letter G. On the Mac, it would be Command. Now these are joined together, and I can zoom back out. I do have this selected still, and I'm on my selection tool, not the direct selection tool. I'm going to switch my outline color to a yellow. I can actually click none as well, either one's fine. And then I'm going to choose my fill color and choose yellow. And now if I click off, you can see I have a pretty decent minion body. I might want to work a little bit on this tiny little spot here. So that's one way that you can make the body. So I'm going to delete that. I'm going to show you another way. We can start with an ellipse tool, which is underneath the rectangle tool, usually default set on rectangle tool when you open. So if we go to ellipse tool and draw a circle or oval shape. I know it doesn't look much like a minion yet, but it can. So as I click on this, you'll see that there's actually 4 points if you look closely at yours. One at the top, one at the bottom, one at the left, and one at the right. If I go to my pen tool, I can add more points or more plots onto this shape. So I'm going to put a few more in here so that I can manipulate some more of these and manipulate the line. You'll notice I have to line the tip of the pen up with the outside line of my minion. I'll go to my selection tool here, I'm actually going to change the outline color or the stroke color to black again, just so I can see it a little better. And you can turn the fill color off too if you want, but this is working well for me so I can see the line a little better. Go back to my direct selection tool, and I can select just one of these plots. These little lines coming off of this point right here it's called the handles. So if you move these handles by either clicking, you have to click very carefully, make sure you line up, and moving it closer to the line or farther away, and then rotating the line, you can manipulate this line. We can also move the point or the plot out a little bit more to create that kind of head shape for the minion. I'm going to click and select this one, move it out a little bit. The point that's right in the center here, remember, it comes in just a little bit. So I'm going to move those in. And then I'm going to work on the bottom here to make it a little more of a square, rounded square shape. So this also works for a minion body. And I can move it around to make it the kind of minion I want. So the two you probably saw in the video were either really tall ones or kind of short, stocky ones, like the one you see on my screen. So that's two ways to make the body. Here's the third way. Let's go back to my website. So here's the image. What we can do is we can right click, copy that image, go into Illustrator, and we can paste it in. Okay, you can see I have the body pasted in now, and it's in its own layer. I'm going to double click that layer, and I'm going to select Template. I can even name that layer, just like in Photoshop, to make sure I'm keeping things organized. So I'm going to name it Template. We're not going to do anything to this layer. We're actually going to use it to trace over. So just like tracing with clear, transparent tracing paper on top of something else, we're going to do that in here with two layers. So you cannot see it on my screen because my screen recorder doesn't move that far down. But just below my layers over here to the bottom right, you'll see the little trash can icon. Next to that is New Layer. So you can add a new layer that way. You can also go into your menu bar and add a new layer. Make sure your new layer is above the template. And I'm going to name this one Minion Body. I'm not going to check template or anything, so make sure those are unchecked and click OK. Make sure you are selected on your new Minion Body empty layer, empty at the moment, but it's going to have something in it soon. So you can do one of the two options here, but now you get to really line it up perfectly with this body, and then you can manipulate a little bit, maybe stretch it out a bit taller, make a tall minion if you want. We can go to Paintbrush, or we can draw the ellipse tool and move things in. So Paintbrush, just very quickly. For me, remember, it may take a little longer if you're not used to using a mouse for this kind of thing. Now I'm going to have to join the 2 points here because remember, they're not connected. So I'm going to select the selection tool to select the whole thing. Zoom in a bit with my direct selection tool. First I'm going to move this plot down so it lines up a little more next to the other one. Select them both by drawing a little box and go to Object and Group. Now it's grouped together. So now I can turn off the template layer by toggling the view. It's got a different view here. It doesn't have an eyeball on that. That's again to help you know that it's a template layer, and this is locking it so that we don't accidentally do something to that layer. So I'm going to toggle the view off, still selected on Minion Body. I will select this shape I created and change the fill and stroke color. Really, I could just change the fill color and turn the stroke color off if I want. Either way is fine, as long as you have a solid yellow body. The other option, of course, is that you can take that ellipse tool. So get rid of this, turn my template back on. Draw a circle or oval shape on top of your template. Use my selection tool to kind of move it into place. I'll at least line it up at the top or bottom. Then I can go into my direct selection tool and line it up a little more with the bottom and top now. I can go to my pen tool, add a few more points. Where you see something's curving out, where this shape is not curving out, you probably needed another point right in there. So I see another curve here. I'm going to put one here. Whoops. And again, the good news is you can undo as many times as you need to. If that happens, that means I didn't actually get it on the line. There we go. Now we can see that the point is where it needs to be. And I put another one over here. Probably need just one more. Now I'm going to go to my direct select tool, choose one point at a time, and using handles as well as moving the points themselves, you can change this to line up a little bit better with the template. I suggest to overdo, so then you can see this side and line up the point where you actually have kind of the center of the curve. And then we can take these handles and move the body out. So, several options for you. Feel free to, if you have time, maybe even try more than one to see which one works best and gives you the minion shape that you were going for. So that's it. Now I have a minion body, and the next video will show you the next step.